You might have seen that Bungie decided to cancel their final live stream for the Curse of Osiris DLC and instead opted to post a relatively lengthy blog post on the Bungie.net website about the state of Destiny 2 and their future development plans, kind of laying everything out on the table due to the upset community and their concerns. So I thought that it would be worthwhile to go through this list and comment on some of them, as some of them are less noteworthy than others, and give my thoughts on the future of Destiny 2. So really the big thing here that they've touted the most that is coming, I believe, in the Osiris DLC. Let me make sure. Yes, so this is coming on the 12th. It's going to come a week after Curse of Osiris, which is kind of interesting and a big patch. And that is these Masterworks weapons. So what is a Masterwork weapon? It's basically, from what I can tell, a upgraded version of a legendary weapon. And what you get here is you get a stat tracker, random rerollable stat bonuses, unique item tooltips, and item details screens. Now this sounds really exciting, but on closer inspection, it appears that the added stats, it's not like an extra perk. We're not getting rerollable weapons here. It adds things like generates orbs on multi-kills and displays the number of enemies defeated while using it. Now, is that so bad? No, it's kind of interesting, and I think that hardcore players will, go to the effort to make sure that all their legendaries are these masterwork weapons, but it's not going to fix anything in the game. Now you might say, well, this is coming right now. Do you really expect them to take the feedback that they got since launch and implement it so quickly into the game? No, I do not expect that. And this is something coming very quickly. But the rest of the things on this list are things that are further down the line up until 2018, and the wording of this blog post makes it sound like they are laying everything out on the table. Like this is everything for the next 6 months, for the next half year plus of Destiny. This is everything we're working on. That's the way this reads to me, and it's not encouraging. I mean, let's look at the rest of the things on here. Most of them are things that they just took out of the game and now they're putting them back in. For instance, armor ornaments. Remember armor ornaments? They were brought in for the Rise of Iron DLC. You could play like the hard mode of the raid and get extra little gadgets to put in your armor, make them glow and stuff. I believe the Iron Banner armor kind of like had a fire effect and all that. That's what they're adding back in. And here, it's the exact same shit. So we're getting Eater of Worlds raid layer armor. So like for the new, pseudo new raid, for factions, for Iron Banner, for trials. I mean, it's just the same thing from Rise of Iron. So this is new for Destiny 2, but it's not new for Destiny. They're just adding back something that used to be in the game. And then here's another December 12th thing. Faction armor and weapons will be unlocked for purchase with use of legendary shards and faction tokens. So like the way it used to be, where you could buy things from the vendors. They had their whole inventory there, in addition to getting an engram from them when you leveled up faction reps. So, just putting things back to the way they were in 2014. This is not revolutionary. This is just setting things back to the way they were. And just because it wasn't already easy enough to get exotics in Destiny 2, we're going to have some changes to Xur to make it even easier. Every week he's going to bring a faded engram, and it seems like this is going to be like a one-time per character or one-time per account thing, and he'll give you an exotic for 97 legendary shards that is something that you don't have already. And this one is really fun. They're going to bring back 3 of Coins. Yeah, remember 3 of Coins? They're bringing that back. And it's like the rate that exotics already drop from things like bosses and public events. Imagine putting a 3 of Coins over that. It's going to be raining exotics now. So those are most of the things that are relevant to the Curse of Osiris expansion, either coming with the expansion on the 5th or coming later the next week on the 12th. But they also gave us a slew of other things that are coming in the new year, things that are far enough out that they gave a very vague explanation as to what they're going to do. So you've got things like this: better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they're spending time on. And here's the thing about this game. The things that I find to be wrong with Destiny 2, most of them are things that were in the first game and came about as that game matured, and then they took it out for whatever reason, and now they're going to have to waste all this development time on putting it back in. It's batshit crazy. Here's another example that is just baffling, similar to that. Private matches for the Crucible. If you remember, they added that into Destiny 1, and here, look what they say. Still targeting early 2018 and expect to have better insight into exact timing in the new year. Now listen, am I insane for expecting a feature that was added into the first game to be there, to be a standard feature in the next game? It makes no fucking sense, right? So then you've got other things that are just vague, like improvements to exotics. You know, you've got some really shitty exotics in this game. They want to make them better, I suppose. An emote interface like Overwatch, where you can use multiple emotes at the same time. New ways to spend surplus currency. I mean, this is all... It's very vague, it's very basic, and a lot of it, like new ways to spend currency, that is something that they addressed all the way back in House of Wolves. Remember when you had all these ascendant energies and you had motes of light, and they kind of revamped that economy to make that stuff useful again? Well, now we've got to go through that process all over again in Destiny 2. The only thing I see on this list that is like next year, that's a far future thing that is substantial, is this competitive Crucible playlist. They want a ranked PvP playlist. It's a top priority list for next year to support the competitive community. This would be a nice feature if the Crucible itself wasn't a boring, static mess. I don't know how you guys feel about Crucible in Destiny 2, but I think it's boring as fucking hell, and having a competitive ranked mode for it with, you know, an elo system, I couldn't care less, because I don't even have fun playing it at a base level, let alone with some kind of ranking system. It's not going to add anything for me. So to summarize, these updates are mostly things that were in Destiny 1 that are not in Destiny 2 right now, that they're going to have to spend all this time and effort putting back into the game. I don't see a single thing here that is going to really address the problems with Destiny 2. And the problems with Destiny 2 are so, like, they're at such a base level of the game that I don't know what you could do to fix them. I mean, after having more and more time to play Destiny 2, I've started to realize that things like having two primary weapons and one power weapon, that system is really hurting the game a lot. Because what happens is, you've got only so many primary weapons, and now two of your slots are occupied by those, and all the things that used to be in special weapons are now in the power weapon slot. So there's like a huge amount of weapons that are relegated to only one slot now. And what happens is, you've got weapons like shotguns and sniper rifles and a lot of fusion rifles, besides Merciless, of course, that are just not worth using right now. There's no reason why you'd use them, and you don't get to use them because you don't have power ammo constantly like you used to have special ammo. And it's hurting the game, it's hurting the loot system, because it's not as exciting to get guns now, because most of the guns are, you know, not worth using, because why would you could get the best shotgun, but why would I use this shotgun over a rocket launcher in the same slot? There's no reason to. And one of the big fun things for me in the first game was to go into the raid. Maybe I don't need anything. Maybe I don't need anything from that raid. I'm just playing it for fun with some friends or something. But I would switch up my loadout and have fun. You know, what am I going to bring into the raid this week? In this game, I've tried to do that in the past few weeks, and I just kind of get slapped in the face when I do it, because I try to use different stuff, and I get absolutely punished for doing it. Like, why would I use those weapons? I'm just actively hurting myself rather than having a good flexibility with my loadout. So I think that this is kind of the way things are going to be until the next big expansion in the fall. I don't think that anything on this list of things is going to fundamentally change the game, and I don't think they have any plans to do that for this first year of Destiny 2. If you guys have any thoughts on this stuff, feel free to let me know down below, but I think it's time to just accept that Bungie clearly has no idea what the fuck they're doing with their game, that this is not going to be a game that you can, you know, like a game as a platform that you can just keep playing over and over again. I think it's just going to be pick it up when there's something new and put it down right after. I think that's what Destiny 2 is going to be. They've given no indication otherwise that there's any reason to play this game.